Hey, what's going on, guys? John here, and today I wanted to do a video review of this Masarflame electric fireplace. So, a little bit of context. I actually moved into a newer home, and they originally had a working fireplace here where they had set up an actual flue. It was about a 4 or 5 inch flue that went all the way up through this. Originally, when we moved in, there was actually tile that lined the front of this fireplace, and I decided to have that all removed and replaced with this vinyl. But what the last owners were doing was they had a fireplace that basically was sitting like a standalone unit that had piping that ran into this older fireplace that ran up the old chimney. I decided that I would have preferred to actually just fill this space with something because I didn't really want to heat this area with you know, wood pellets or actually physical wood. I just didn't want that extra maintenance. So we decided to opt for putting in like a mini split, which we have over here, and that's what we utilize to heat this space. So this is something you probably want to consider. You know, when I decided to buy this, it was more of for an aesthetic. There were a couple things that I ran into with this. One being, as you can see, it does not fit 100% perfectly. From left to right, you can actually see here there's an old indent where they had it was just like the cover with glass that surrounded this. Is basically the surround piece, and it was a really nice piece, but you know, I thought this would be a little bit nicer where we could actually have this sort of fire effect. Another thing with this unit, which I'll note, is when I actually had all the tile removed, the contractor decided to use a grinder and a lot of dust came up. So I think some of that actually got into the unit, which is really unfortunate and really not much I can do about it. But overall, it still functions and works. So let me kind of break this review down into a few pieces for the unit itself. So in terms of packaging, this came really well packaged. It was basically all one big unit in a massive styrofoam piece. There was no assembly really required. You just had to take it out of the box. It came with a team lift box that had 2 handles on the end, and it was a very, very large box. I was able to easily bring it into the house with a second person. So no issues there. Nothing was dinged or dented. I actually ended up using some of the packaging material here in the bottom to kind of lift this up. But what I'll probably eventually do, and if you run into a similar circumstance, is I'm probably just going to have some 2x4s cut, put it at the bottom, and then that'll raise this up so it'll really fit and fill in this gap. And then from there, we're actually probably going to whitewash this entire fireplace, so that way it gives it kind of a nice look and it will match the walls and our floors a little bit nicer. So that's kind of the future plans. But in terms of functionality of this device, you do have right here this little, it's basically just a little metal piece that opens, and you can do all the controls right here on the unit itself. Now, it does come with a fairly thick wire that comes out, and in my case, I don't know how many people were doing this, but I just ran it through the bottom, which is one nice little convenient part of technically this not fitting properly. The closest outlet we have is over here. I did have to get an extension cable, which is actually quite a long one. That's why I've got a lot of wire here. But I plugged that in. It's just a basic, you know, 3-prong cable, as you'd expect, something like almost like a computer wire. And that's what I'm using to plug it in. Now, in terms of functionality itself, let's actually go ahead and turn it on. So you do have the flip switch there, but if I hit the power on this, it does give you a readout of the level that it's on, and then you've also got the actual fire effect. So I'll stand back here, and this isn't a super great representation because you can see there's actually in the background there some of the dust that got through when the tile was removed. So really unfortunate, but it does still work perfectly fine. Now I can actually go through some of the settings here. If I click on the fire icon, I can change the level, and this basically just changes the dimness of the actual fire. So this is getting lower. We're now on 2, we were on 3, now we're on 1, and then this goes back to 5, so we were on 4 initially. So this actually is the brightest setting, and then we do have a few other settings here. So this one, I believe, will change. This gets rid of that background. This gives it like a yellow effect. There's the blue and F2, and then this is kind of like a lighter, almost like purple, and then now we're off again. Now we have our heat setting, so this little heat setting here. So I can turn this on, and pretty much this goes low, high, or off. So if we have this at low, if you go out there and compare, basically all the heat's gonna come out here from the top. You know, this is about a 1500 watt heater, so I would say it's comparable. If you look around on Amazon or anywhere that you're looking for a heater, this is going to be very comparable to a space heater. Now, This unit works pretty good, but you know, given this space, this is a very large space here. You can see it's a fully finished basement. This is about 600, 700 square feet down here. So this thing is not really going to heat this area. It's really going to be supplemental heat, which is why I decided to add the mini split. So unless you're in a very small space, or maybe you're just looking for something to kind of heat like a small vicinity, maybe you've got your Christmas tree set up and you'd like a small area for the family to hang out as you're opening presents, this would probably do fine to heat that little area, but I would not expect it to be something to heat an entire massive space like the one that I'm in now. So if you're in a smaller space, probably do okay, add a little supplemental heat, but definitely do not treat it as like a full heating source. Another thing to keep in mind is, heating with this is probably going to be a lot more expensive than other traditional means of heating, like, through, like, say, oil or something else, gas, anything else that you might have in the house. Definitely not going to be as efficient for electricity if you're keeping this on all the time. Now, in terms of some other functionality, you do have a timer here, so you could actually set this where you could set, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4, 5, 6, 7. This goes all the way up to about 9, and then that's off. And then you've also got this music icon. This will actually have a cackling sound, and it comes out of here. I would say this is probably the weakest part of the unit. It sounds okay, but it definitely doesn't sound like a real fire. It just, you can tell it's a pretty poor speaker and just gives it a nice little effect. Traditionally, I would say I'd probably keep that off, and if you hit the button again, it just turns it off. Now, the other cool thing about this is it does actually come with a remote. So all of these same settings that I just went through, you can cycle through on the remote itself. Same with music, timer, the heat level, and then you can also change both the colors and the background effect of the fire, as well as power it off. So that's pretty much it for this unit. Overall, I would say it's a really nice unit. I do recommend it. I think they did a great job with it. It looks nice if you're looking for something to fill a space like this. And overall, if you guys decide to pick this up, I will leave a link below. You should see that right below this video. If you decide to pick up this fireplace through my link, I do earn a little bit of a commission, and I definitely appreciate that. You're going to pay the same, but it's going to help me out in a big way. So definitely make sure to use that link if you do decide to purchase this. And again, thanks for watching.